Hello, everybody. Welcome out to the Dice Tower. My name's Chris Yee.
And I'm Wendy Yee.
And today we're going to be talking about the games that have been nominated for the Spiel des Jahres and the Kenner-Spiel des Jahres. And we're going to be kind of breaking them up into two little sections here.
That's right. So we're going to talk a little bit about each one of the games, and then we'll just kind of predict of who we think might the winners be.
Yeah, and then also talk about what our preferences would be, because I think it's going to be different what I choose and what those German jurors of high regard choose.
No, I know all. I've already seen the secret envelope.
All right. So we've got the three Spiel des Jahres nominees back here piled up, and we're going to go through first here in the footsteps of Darwin.
You literally walk in his footsteps in this game. It's amazing.
You need to buy a plane ticket to the Galapagos, actually ship ticket.
It's like the moon where the footsteps don't ever go away.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the Galapagos Islands right there.
Now, this is a fun one. This is a nature-themed game about. Well, basically, there's a little rondelle of sorts in the middle. There's a 3x3 grid, and wherever the ship is, you can grab one of those three tiles. And based on whether you grab the first, second, or the third one out, then the ship will move 1, 2, or 3 steps, and that's where the next person can collect from.
Right.
There's a few little extra, you can move the ship back or forth by spending certain tokens, and there's a few different forms of set collection. But really, that's about it. You want to finish rows or columns on your personal player board. You want to collect different things based on personal scoring objectives. And, there's a few other little set collections. That's about it.
That's about it. And that is one thing about the Spiel des Jahres games, is that they do tend to be very family weight, very approachable, very accessible, that kind of like welcoming style of game. And so this is one of those that, it's relatively simple and easy to learn. Not that it's like simplistic, but it is. It's simple and easy to learn. And it's one of those where you can't get all the sets of everything. Like, the game's going to end before you have filled in all of your rows and columns with all the animals.
In theory, right, you get 12 times. No, because there's 16 spots. Yeah, so you only play 12 rounds. You're right.
Yeah, and you want to get some of those specialists because they do really cool things.
Well, I like that the system, too, where if you double up, because there's 4 different continents worth of animals that you can study, and then the different the different genre species. So, like, you have your mammals, you have your insects, lizards, and stuff, right? So if you double up, if you get a North American lizard, and then you later get another North American lizard, you cover it up, which is bad because that's inefficient use of your tiles, but then you also get a bonus scoring objective if you cover things up. So, it just kind of rewards you a little bit for no matter what you do, but there's definitely a way to play poorly in this game.
Sure, yeah. I think there's a good little bit of strategy, and I do like that there are ways that you can move that boat forward and back, so you have good choices. I feel like there are real choices in this game. It's not just telling you what happens and you just play it out. Like, you've got good choices. I love grids and things, and so I like how just clean it looks, and it looks really nice as you're placing out the species that you've collected. There's some really cool aspects to it.
Grids and things, where I buy most of my grids, most of my things. So, in the footsteps of Darwin, this is one of those games where I don't really have anything negative to say about it, but it also doesn't jump out to me as much as I think it did to a few of the other people who've played. I think Tom, Z, Camilla enjoy this one a lot, and I enjoy this one. I don't have, like I said, anything negative to say about it, but I could see why it fits right in with what the jury's looking for family weight, approachable games.
I think that it's simple and it's clean, and I think the artwork is cool, and the theme is a very popular theme right now with nature and that kind of stuff.
Nature and the science of nature, particularly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So that's the overview of In the Footsteps of Darwin.
All right, next we have up is Sky Team. This is a 2-player co-op game with very limited communication, and you're basically trying to fly and land a plane together with not actually holding the yoke and all that kind of stuff. So in this, you are rolling dice, and you have them behind a little secret player area, and you are placing out one die at a time, and you do have to make sure that you've leveled out the plane properly and that you're accelerating and decelerating as you need, because you don't want to run into other planes and you don't want to overshoot the airport, but also you need to get to the airport so you can land. This is one that I really enjoy. I was excited about it. a little bit, but then after playing it, I was like, oh, this is even better than I thought it was going to be.
I was really excited about it because Scorpion Masqué is one of those companies that makes great games. They make great party games. They make great games that are a little bit more involved, like this one is. And so I went into it with high expectations, and they were met. I'm very, very happy with this one. A little bit surprised. A lot of the discussion is kind of surprised that it was nominated for the Spiel because it is a two-player game,
Yeah.
which almost feels contradictory to the idea of a family game award, because this is not the best board game in Board Gaming Award. It's best family game.
But families are made of all different shapes and sizes.
Agreed. Yeah,
You know what I
agree.
mean? There's plenty of families where a parent plays with a child, or two parents play together, two kids play together. I mean, it works in that regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see that argument being a little confusing. So then you should just own two and have two sets of pilots.
Competing pilots.
Yes, competing pilots. And you're going to play a speed version to see who lands properly first.
Don't do
This
that.
is-
Actually, there is a timed... Well, that's one of the great things about this. There's a lot of modules. You can play
There's
the
so
basic
many
game,
modules, yes.
play a basic game, play a basic airport, and then you start mixing in the different airport landing strips. You start mixing in new little modules, dice that put new planes in the way. And you're like, oh, we have to clear out more stuff. We're running low on fuel. You have
We have to train new employees and make sure that they have done a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some really cool modules. It's one that I can definitely see expanding out with even more modules.
There is an expansion
as
already in the
life
works.
includes.
Yep.
That's
and there's
cool.
also a real-time module. Anyway, that's why I bring that up.
The real-time plane landing. That's called real life. I don't have a plane's license. Yeah, so this one is SkyTeam.
And the last one of the three nominated for the Spiel, the last one that we actually got around to playing, is Captain Flip. This is from a new company, Playpunk, which is Antoine Bauza, who's a very famous designer, obviously, Seven Wonders and such, started a publishing company, and this is their first game, which I think that's not bad for your first published game to get nominated for the Spiel.
Right.
It's called
That's
Captain.
legit.
Yeah, it's called Captain Flip because you pull a tile out of a bag, you can place it into your grid that represents a pirate ship, but it's really a grid. But before you place it out, you have the choice one time immediately. Do you want to flip it over and then place the back side out? And you can't flip back once you put it out there. And I like that touch, right? But there's little tiles that interact in different ways. Some score more points immediately. Some score points at the end of the game. But some of them have an immediate effect that will flip over an adjacent tile. So you're sitting there kind of gambling, a little bit of push your luck. Oh, should I flip this tile back over? Maybe it'll give me something good. Maybe it won't help me. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the premise of the game.
Yeah, this is definitely one that I think that flipping is what makes it unique, because we've seen so many other games where you get a tile and you put it out somewhere and you want to arrange them as best as possible. There's so many games that do that. So I think the flipping is clever because they do have different backs. I was worried at first that it was like every time you got the cook, you also got the bird on the other side.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
But you just don't know what's going to be on the other side. And so it is that gamble of like, okay, I have one chance to re-roll is almost what it is. It's like redraw. But it's a determined what's on the other side already.
I've seen people argue, is this a push your luck game, is it not? And it's not push your luck in the obvious sense of draw another card, roll another die or anything, right? But collectively, it kind of does feel that way. Where, okay, I'm stacking these tiles out. I'm really hoping for something to get put out here. I'm waiting for it. Well, I drew a tile. It wasn't the thing I was looking for. I could flip it, but then I'm stuck with it. You know,
Right.
Do you take the devil you know or the devil you don't? Is kind of the style
The
of
choice.
push your luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's clever. The theme itself doesn't speak to me. I'm not really a big pirate person. Like, they're fine. It's a very fine theme. But it's cutesy. I mean,
And that's the thing, is it is.
it doesn't go gritty pirate.
No, and that's good because this game is really, some people would argue, frivolously light. This game is super light. You're drawing tiles out of a bag and then placing them in potentially obvious places, but then it's that question. The choice really comes in with, do you flip it or
does.
not? Do you put the monkey out to flip over another tile? Do you remember what was on the backside of that one or not? Like that, those little moments. And I think that this game comes to life because of that.
Would you say it's the lightest out of the three?
I think it is.
I think it is, and I think SkyTeam is the heaviest out of the three.
Yeah.
I think that you have to really genuinely cooperate with that.
Especially because SkyTeam levels up so much. You could play the basic opening mission, and that could be your whole experience with the game. And you could play it with younger kids, and you could play it with people that you're not like really in the mind zone of reading each other's minds, but as you play the more advanced levels, you really better understand. I'm putting a 4 out here.
Right.
Do you understand the implication of me putting a 4 out here? Please, I hope that you do.
That's the funny thing. So when you said that there was some debate about why this is in the Spiel nominee, is it does get much more complicated, and so I do wonder why it's not in the Kenner-Spiel. And I wonder if that's going to hurt it for this award, because that would be my first pick of if I were to guess which one would win. I guess for me, I think Sky Team's a better game. Do I think that one's going to win? I'm not so sure because it's a little bit heavier. So then I think In the Footsteps of Darwin would, because I think the theme and it's much more simple.
Yeah.
And like you said before, it fits the 4-player family look.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So your prediction would be In the Footsteps
of Darwin, and my preference would be Sky Team.
My preference would be Sky Team. I think most of us actually at the office feel very similar.
My hope is Sky Team.
My hope is Sky Team,
Yes.
yeah. But I would not put money down on it. I would put money, I won't actually, but Captain Flip.
Just because it's the lightest, or?
I think because it's the lightest and it has the most playability factor. Right? In the Footsteps of Darwin is good. It's a very good game. I think that you have great choices. I think you have a lot of neat ways to pivot and try to set, collect, and do good stuff. Captain Flip is almost like a distillation of that, even smaller, and then it has that playability factor where at the end you say, I could go for another one. It's like potato chips, like crisps. You could say like, oh, another one. Let's do it again. Wipe all the tiles, put them in the bag, pull out a different board, so you're not playing on the pirate ship, you're playing on the Kraken's face. And then let's play it again. I think for that reason, the whole like, let's play it again factor. I've been playing this on Board Game Arena, and I was like, is there really much to this game? And then I've now played it 27 times on Board Game Arena. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Chris alone is driving up the statistics that they're going to be using to vote on this.
I would not be so prideful to think that, but that's my prediction for that reason.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
I accept your prediction, but I say no.
Perdition. You accept my perdition?
I do.
Whew. All right. Well, that's quite an ending here. So now we're going to talk about the 3 Kenner-Spiel nominees. I brought Z Garcia here, resident expert of Kenner games.
Anything Kenner.
Right. Yeah. And Mattel as well.
Yes.
So the Kenner-Spiel, this is the award for... It's hard to almost define because it's not like hardcore game.
It's not really. It's not like hobbyists is kind of what we assumed it sort of meant in the past, but I think as the award trends lighter, it's more the advanced families game.
That's kind of a good way to put it.
You know what I mean? It's like you got family games for just about everybody in that household, and then something a little bit above that really is what it is.
And I think that's reflected, I think, quite nicely in the 3 nominees this year. So let's go ahead and talk about. So the first one here, the Guild of Merchant Explorers. This is one that I made fun of the name when it came out originally.
Well, it's a pretty forgettable name, unfortunately. It's sort of just a generic sounding title.
Yeah, I agree. And so this one surprised me because it feels like a roll and write type game. You reveal a card, and it says what type of landscape you could place some cubes out into. When you fill up a landscape, you get a permanent house structure out there. Because at the end of one whole round, you wipe everything except for those permanent structures, play the next round, and you kind of build off from there. I think that's a neat touch.
It's a good, it feels good to play. It's certainly, like you said, is sort of a roll and write without the writing part. You're just putting out your tokens on a board. It has a couple of very clever ideas, and I think games that have 1 or 2 good twists is the sort of happy zone. And in this one, you have one unique thing you can earn, right? Which is like your card, your thing, your power that nobody else at the table will have. And it feels really good. It's a really neat moment when, trigger your ability A, and you're like, whew, ability A for me, or B, is different from what anybody else is doing. It's a well put together package.
Yeah, I remember when I think Tom played it first, he taught it to us, and he was like, this is what you do. And we're like, got it, put cubes in grass, got it, put cubes in ocean. And he's like, okay, at the end of the whole teach, now here's your special card. We're like, now you're talking.
Right.
Let's go. So yeah, I could see why this one was picked. It does something a little bit more, but not too much.
And it has a familiarity they've nominated roll and write games before, plus it's a very well-known genre, style of game.
Yeah.
It's that familiarity with a little something on top.
Yep. All right, so that's Guild of Merchant Explorers. Next up here is you want to talk about, kind of give like the brief rundown of how would you describe Daybreak?
So Daybreak is about eliminating emissions in the world. You're playing on a world scale. You represent a nation or group of nations or just a part of the world. And you will be using cards to manipulate your emissions, to switch from dirty energy basically to clean energy, and eliminate that from the game, trying to reach that sort of drawdown, trying to reach zero. If you can do that quickly enough in the game, you cooperatively win the game. If you cannot, then you lose. That's the idea. It is from Matt Leacock, cooperative game extraordinaire, who did Pandemic and has done the Forbidden games and whatnot. This one is really very different from those games. In those games, they basically kind of invented that formula of you do something good, you do something bad. You take your 1, 2, 3 or 4 actions or whatever, and then you flip a bad card and something happens. This is a little different. This one has there's a free form nature to the whole thing. This idea of, okay, everybody's ready. Here's 5 cards, 4 for you, 4 for you, whatever. Go. Do whatever you want with them. You can place them in front of you. You can activate a card. You can tuck it beneath another card to sort of juice it up. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I was surprised when I first played it with how much it didn't hold your hand.
I agree. It doesn't say, here's the round structure.
Yeah.
Everyone do this thing now. It just says, here's your resources, here's your cards. Go.
Yeah.
And so the first time I played, it was actually hard in this cooperative game to cooperate because we didn't, there's 4 of us at the table kind of learning it.
Yeah.
And we didn't really know what were the connection points where, partway through, we're like, okay, God, if we invest in this, I can share this type of card with the players who need it more.
You need to speak up, right, in the game.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of, can anybody give me such and such thing? Yeah, you got to participate.
Right. It's a different type of cooperative game, which I appreciated. At first, it was not a negative, but I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But it's nice to see a designer, actually, and also a co-designer, Matteo Menapase, I'm going to assume.
I'm guessing, yeah.
It's nice to see a different type of cooperative game. And it's cool to see it get some recognition for that.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit of an odd duck nominee, I would say. I wasn't expecting it to be nominated for a big deal like this, but I'm glad it did.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. It's got, I imagine part of the nomination has to do with the theme, perhaps, but putting that aside, the gameplay here, the cooperation, and just the game structure really is very much its own beast. It's its own thing. It's a clever game.
Yeah, it's a game I almost would have expected more to get one of those like little recommendations, those little like wink and a nod.
Right.
But it's cool to see it like genuinely nominated.
Right.
And the last one here is another Matt Leacock co-design. So this is a good year for him.
Yeah, no kidding.
So Alan Moon, Matt Leacock, Rob Davio, Ticket to Ride, Legends of the West, or Ticket to Ride Legacy. This is, I think this is maybe the second time that a Legacy game has been nominated for the Kenner-Spiel.
What did it nominate before? Pandemic Season 1?
Yeah. And then Time Stories was in that same year. So those were kind of the winner of that year, I think, was Exit the Game.
Right.
So that was kind of an interesting cadre of like one-time, kind of very story-heavy type games. This one's Ticket to Ride, obviously based on Ticket to Ride, with some legacy elements.
Yeah.
But one thing I like about this one is that from the get-go, it already starts with different stuff. Mm-hmm. You set up the board for the first time, and you're like, what's this? Oh, it's an event deck.
Right.
There's some of these cities are marked as big cities. And like from game one, there's already some differences from Ticket to Ride. So it doesn't just feel like, I bought Ticket to Ride again. Let's see where they go. No, you're starting from a different place.
And Ticket to Ride is a Spiel winner. I think this is a very good one to grow with the family. Because that first game is very, very simple.
Yeah.
You can play that with just about anybody in the family unit. And then over various games, things will unlock, as you expect from a legacy game. Things become a little bit trickier. Rules evolve. So I think it has a really nice cadence and evolution throughout the entire session, however many games that is, that lets you grow with the game. I think it's an interesting pick, and I always find it to be a little bit easier of an on-ramp when a legacy game is based on another game.
Yeah.
And when that is an award-winning game itself, that just makes sense.
Right. So it's cool to see this one get recognized. I don't know in terms of which game I personally like the most. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this one the most from all of my plays of all three of these. But I also recognize that this is kind of it's not once and done, it's replayable, but I haven't replayed this copy. You know what I mean?
To me, this one feels like the odd one out for the win. This one feels like the long shot.
Okay.
I don't think it's. I don't see it. I don't think it's got a chance. I might be wrong, but it's the biggest. It's the most expensive. It's the nicest production, sort of the biggest deal. I don't see it being recommended across the board like that. This is more specific than that, you know? I think the one that's going to win is the Guild of Merchant Explorers.
I actually completely agree with you there.
I think that's going to be the winner. It seems to be the most traditional. The awards have been trending lighter anyway lately, and I think it is a roll and write in a bigger form factor, a little more welcoming, with a couple of tiny twists on top of that. Great. Exactly what somebody might want as a step above something really simple.
Yeah, and I think that both Daybreak and Ticket to Ride Legacy ask a little bit more out of the players. And I don't mean that in any means as a negative. But, like Daybreak, like I said, it requires a little bit more to figure out those cooperation points in the game.
Yeah.
This is one I wouldn't just play, I think, with my 8-year-old daughter and say, okay, it's the action phase, go. No, she needs a little more hand-holding, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Kenner-Spiel games don't always have to go very young. But, yeah, both Daybreak and Ticket to Ride Legacy, obviously, the legacy requirements of clean up each game and going through this multi-step process to make sure that you start the story, have all the events ready, shuffle these things in, take these things out.
Right.
But
there's more there.
Yeah.
To deal with.
Yeah. But Ticket to Ride's my favorite. If I had to pick, I couldn't not pick it. I loved it that much.
So if it was your nod to give, you're going with Ticket to Ride. Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
I think I would give it to Daybreak. I think it's I don't know. It's the one I want more people to play, I guess is what it is.
It's true. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, an award like this not only celebrates excellence, but makes people notice, right? It's that idea of this is something we are awarding so that you go and play it yourself. We are saying, hey, we've done some of this legwork for you. Go try it out. I think that's the one that I would say more people should try out because it is very clever, really well done, has a great amount of interaction between the players, but a nice rising tension. It is a theme that is about saving the earth, but does not come across preachy, which is another, it's not like an educational game, if you would. I think it's solid. It's really enjoyable. It's a good co-op game that manages to be its own thing and not just follow the formula.
Yeah. Last year, the jury very much surprised us, I think, by giving the win to Challengers.
Right.
And I got to say that earlier I made fun of the German jury, and by no means am I making fun of them. I appreciate and respect so much what they do. And like you said, because of the work that they put in and giving out these awards, the games do get more recognition.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing for the hobby. I like all three of these picks more than last year's picks, I think. I think this is a better overall batch.
I think it's a very good batch, yeah, and I love seeing these things get the nod. I said that I don't think Ticket to Ride will win. I think it's third likely is what I'm saying. But my goodness, if you like Ticket to Ride and you're intrigued by a legacy game, go play it. Mm-hmm. It is excellent. You should definitely give it a go. And I'm really glad that the obvious amount of work that went into it is being rewarded with a nomination.
Yeah, all three of these games. We've talked about the other
Yes.
two more, but Guild of Merchants Explorers is it's a safer bet, so to speak. But
Yeah.
also, it's that, like I said, that one twist that it does,
Yeah.
it hooked me. And so,
And it's clean. It's like, okay, this
Absolutely.
sings.
all right. Well, there you go. So those are the three nominees for the Kenner-Spiel. Earlier, we discussed the three nominees for the Spiel des Jahres, so go ahead and comment below what you think, where we are wrong.
Right.
Right, obviously, that goes without saying.
We'll be proven wrong soon enough.
Right, just a few months' time. So, yeah, what are your predictions and what do you think? Until then, thanks for watching. I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Z Garcia.
Have fun playing games.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video on the Dice Tower. Hey, do you want to know what's going on with Dice Tower? Do you want to know about our events, our cruises, special things that we're going to do live here in the Dice Tower? Subscribe to Dice Tower Digest. Go to dicetowerdigest.com. It's a newsletter that we send out bi-weekly. We won't use your email for anything else. This is just to get you some information about the Dice Tower so you'll be up to date. Thanks for watching.